WTVA 9 News coverage of the Egg Bowl.
Good evening. Welcome to our late news on WTVA following NFL football. And the Egg Bowl, the 90th edition, the 2017 edition, is now over. And for Ole Miss fans who maybe decided not to come to this game at Davis-Wade Stadium, well, they missed out on a good game. Partially because it was a very interesting game, but mainly because their team won tonight, 31-28. Andy Lee is standing by with a recap of the big matchup.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. As you might expect, emotions riding high before this Egg Bowl. There was even a little pregame brouhaha. Nothing too serious, just a little jawing and shoving. Even more jawing going on before the game. Both teams just ready to get it started. Ole Miss gets off to a fast start. Jordan Ta'amu connects with A.J. Brown for 58 yards down to the Mississippi State 22. Huge night for Brown. The Starkville native had 6 catches for 167 yards and a score. One play later, Jordan Wilkins 22 yards up the gut for 6. Ole Miss takes a quick 7-0 lead. Later in the first quarter, the unthinkable happens. MSU with the ball. Nick Fitzgerald keeps it. He's hit high and low. The lower leg twists in ways it shouldn't. Fitzgerald gets carted off the field with a gruesome ankle injury. The Bulldogs turn to true freshman Keaton Thompson. They turned it over 5 times. Ole Miss led 10-6 at the half and goes on to win 31-28. Rebels finish the season 6-6. Later in sports, I'll have in-depth highlights from Starkville and a live report from WTVA Sports Director Jim Holder. Craig?
Andy, thanks so much for that recap. Of course, we are working to get post-game reaction from the two coaches. WTVA's Shante Sumter has been listening into the news conference from Ole Miss head football coach Matt Luke. On the other end, WTVA's Simone Woolridge has been listening to Dan Mullen. That news conference with him and with some of the players, that is still going on right now. As soon as we can turn that around for you, we hope to do that during our newscast. But while we wait for that, we do want to give you a taste of some of the fan action today, especially prior to the game, because Mississippi State fans, understandably, they were high as a kite ready for this game because, let's be honest, they have the winning record, they have the top 20 ranking. A lot of folks thought they were going to win this game tonight. WTVA Shante, or WTVA Simone Woolridge, spoke with some of those MSU fans prior to kickoff.
Raising their cowbells loud and proud, Mississippi State fans were anything but quiet before the game.
Go Dogs!
For today's game, fans were what you would expect.
They can't stop us.
Pretty competitive.
It's always a big game, but this year not as much. We're up here and they're down there. We don't have sanctions or dirty coaches or dirty players.
Ooh. Mississippi State fans were in full effect, spreading all across the junction.
Hail State!
Not only were fans excited for one of the most anticipated games of the year, but students say it's something that's talked about on campus all year long.
It's the same thing every year. It's always a good game, so we always look forward to that at the end of the year. Plus, we're having a pretty good season.
Many, of course, came out to spend time with their friends and family, share a good Thanksgiving meal, and with no doubt, root for their squad. Students on their way to graduating say these holidays mean so much more to them, spent with their Hail State family.
It's a strong friendship here, and I think that's all about the college experience is being with your friends and making sure that everyone is here for the same reason.
WTVA Simone Woolridge prior to kickoff of the 90th edition of the Battle for the Golden Egg. Now, Ole Miss fans, there would have been it would have been reasonable for most of them not to show up for this game. They came into this game 5-6. They have a self-imposed bowl ban. The Egg Bowl was their bowl game this year, but yet they came out victorious. And for the Ole Miss faithful who came to Davis-Wade Stadium, well, they were ready for the big game, as we hear from WTVA's Shante Sumter.
Toddy. Howdy, toddy. Let's go. Land Sharks, Red Bulls.
Been an Ole Miss fan all my life. I was born an Ole Miss fan. I think it's got a little more heated than it should be.
The rivalry has gone on for ages, but to Ole Miss fans, the Egg Bowl is important, but it's just another game.
Brother and sister went to Mississippi State. I went to Ole Miss, so the rivalry's always been there. So, but it's a heated rivalry. I think it's good for both schools.
And as for the cowbells that'll be ringing, they had some interesting things to say.
You know how when you have a baby in a crib and you give it a toy to play with to soothe it? It's like a big toy for little babies.
And as far as who they think will win,
I love Ole Miss, but I think State's probably going to get us this round.
Either way, the Rebels win because we get to go back to Oxford. They're still stuck in Starkville.
Now, there was much more going on here than just a football game. What you're seeing right now is a special ceremony that took place about 4 o'clock this afternoon on the north end of Davis-Wade Stadium. There was a dedication ceremony to make the North Plaza the Dowsing Bell Plaza. It is named after the first 2 black student athletes to enroll at Mississippi State University. They did so in 1969. Robert Bell, a defensive lineman from Meridian. Frank Dowsing Jr., a defensive back from Tupelo, who passed away in 1994 at the age of 42.
What's going on in my mind is something that's really going on inside of my mind, and that is I would like to express to all the people who are responsible for this, and all the people, and without them, without fans and people that believe.
All right, a very special day at MSU. Another interesting thing about Dowsing is that he was one of 5 black high school students to integrate Tupelo High School 50 years ago. Now, there's still much more to come from Davis-Wade Stadium. We're working to get you post-game reaction from the 2 coaches, the 2 head coaches involved in tonight's contest. Working on that behind the scenes, but right now, plenty of news to bring you. For that, we send it to Madison Heil.
Thanks, Craig, and thank you for joining us here at WTVA 9 News. I'm Madison Heil. We'll still have more coverage of the Egg Bowl, but first, let's check in with WTVA meteorologist John DeLusick, who has our first look at tonight's forecast.
Thanks, Madison. On this Thanksgiving evening, indeed a cold one. As a matter of fact, very cold conditions across the area and dry across the area right now. And a lot of folks beyond the game shopping tonight and shopping through the wee hours of the morning into tomorrow morning and even into tomorrow afternoon. It stays very chilly tonight. 32 right now, Starkville, 32 Oxford, 36 degrees Tupelo, and Corinth coming in at 32 degrees. Your next several hours, like I said, staying cold. So if you're going out and about tonight, shopping, trying to get those great deals, well, indeed, around sunrise, a lot of stores opening up. Also, in another round of maybe openings going on later in the morning, you're looking at a temperature 31 degrees, warming up into the 60s later on in the day tomorrow, if you're wondering. We'll talk more about tomorrow's warm-up and beyond in just a few moments. Now back to Madison.
A shooting guns down 1 Columbus man early Thanksgiving morning. WTVA's Cody Long has been following this story since it broke and is standing by with the latest in Columbus. But first, new tonight, WTVA's Morgan Berger is in West Point, where a house fire claimed the life of a man this afternoon. She joins us live with the latest.
That's right, Madison. Police are investigating that fatal fire that claimed the life of a 62-year-old man that was found dead inside of a burned home. Now, this is the home on Washington Street that police responded to when they received the call around 4 o'clock this evening. The man's body was found in a bedroom. His body was sent to Pearl for autopsy. This information is from Clay County Coroner Alvin Carter Jr. He says he's not releasing the man's name until all family has been notified. Likely that will be tomorrow. He said not tonight. The investigation is underway to determine the cause of that fire. We do know that the Clay County Coroner's Office, along with West Point Police Department, they are investigating this case. Of course, we will continue to bring you the latest as it becomes available. Reporting live in West Point, Morgan Berger, WTVA 9 News.
You can read more on this story right now using the all-new WTVA 9 News app. The app gives you instant access to the latest news as well as breaking news from across the area. The new app is free and available now for all Apple and Android smartphones and tablets. One woman is dead and her husband in the hospital after they were found near the Holcup Memorial on the Tentum Waterway this morning. Tishomingo County Coroner Mac Wildman says a hunter found 75-year-old Stella Poindexter lying in the road about a mile from the memorial. She was taken to the hospital in Iuka but died later of exposure. Authorities later found her husband, 84-year-old Herschel Poindexter, still alive. He was taken to the Magnolia Hospital in Corinth. The coroner says he believes the man became disoriented while driving and drove into a fence at the memorial, where then the couple tried to look for help. Now on to continuing coverage of a deadly shooting in downtown Columbus overnight. We first brought you this story early this morning. WTVA's Cody Long is live in Columbus with the latest.
Yeah, Madison, this shooting happened just less than 24 hours ago, and on this Thanksgiving Day, for one Columbus family, there was an empty chair at the dinner table tonight. That would be for 27-year-old Cordell Lewis. Lewis was shot here around midnight outside the Trotter Convention Center. He was rushed by ambulance to Baptist Golden Triangle, where he later died. Now, at this point, police have not made an arrest. They have not released any information on a suspect. We do know that there were a lot of people here last night for a party called the Citywide Kickback. Now, that started at 8:30, but we don't know if that was a part of this party. Now, police say that the shooter and Lewis got into an argument outside the front door at the Trotter, and that is when the fatal shot was fired. Lewis leaves behind his young children, and he was supposed to celebrate his 28th birthday next week. Now, this is also the first civilian homicide within the city limits so far this year, and Coroner Greg Merchant tells me that the body will have its autopsy on Monday because right now the state medical examiner's office is closed for the holiday. Reporting live in Columbus, I'm Cody Long, WTVA 9 News.
A new development in a murder case on the Mississippi coast. The father and son charged in killing a man found wrapped in carpet are now being held on a $1 million bond. Hancock County Sheriff investigators say Carl and Terry Smith confessed to the shooting death of Philip Whitaker. They add Whitaker and the Smiths were friends. Investigators say Whitaker went to visit the Smiths, but the men got into an argument, ending with Whitaker being shot 3 times. Whitaker's decomposing body was found wrapped in carpet along Interstate 10 in New Orleans on November 15th. A preliminary hearing has been set for January 16th.
All right, Madison, thank you so much. Well, coming up in this broadcast, we're going to bring you raw audio and video from the two coaches' news conferences. We've got it queued up right now with Ole Miss head football coach Matt Luke. That will be coming your way as WTVA 9 News continues. Thank you for watching WTVA 9 News. After the NFL game on Thanksgiving night, right now we want you to hear some of the comments that Ole Miss interim head football coach Matt Luke had to say after his Rebels beat the Bulldogs 31-28 in the Egg Bowl.
You know, this, I told people in the press conference this wasn't my 14th Egg Bowl, this was my 41st Egg Bowl. And to the people of the state of Mississippi, this is the most important game of the year. And just so happy for our players and our fans. You know, this means so much to them, and you know, it hasn't been always easy this year. I told the guys in there, you know, we've been on some better teams with some better records, but they'll always remember this year and how they fought through adversity. I'm so proud of those guys. These seniors went 3-1 against Mississippi State, won 4 of the last 6 against those guys. So just really proud. Had a lot of things go on tonight. Jordan Wilkins is a 1,000-yard rusher. Really proud of that. A.J. Brown, all-time leading receiver. Gary Wunderlich, all-time leading scorer. So just a lot of good things that happened tonight, and just really proud of those group of young men that are in that locker room.
Questions? Matt, remember what happens after this? Just what do you remember most this evening?
Just the kids, how they fought. You know, everybody said they can't get up, and they just kept getting up, and they kept battling. And just so proud of that group of young men. They just stuck together, and you know, the culture started changing. They were a young team, and, you know, we started off, we were a little selfish, and they just kept fighting, and they kept believing in each other, and you saw the culture slowly change. And had an opportunity to maybe win some more games this season, but really proud of those kids that continue to battle.
Man, do you believe this strengthens your position for the permanent job?
I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to enjoy this night and enjoy these players, and, you know, I don't have any regrets. I'm very, I'm grateful for this opportunity. It's a dream of mine, and.
All right, thank you very much. Courtesy of WTVA Shante Sumter, Ole Miss interim head football coach Matt Luke, victorious tonight. We've got more WTVA 9 News after this.
A Severe Weather Authority forecast with meteorologist John DeLusick.
Good evening. It's 11:05 on your Thanksgiving evening. It's a cold one out there, and a lot of folks going out and about shopping this evening. Folks getting out and about after the football game. You can see them there walking home, getting ready to get in their cars and ride home, possibly. All of that happening right now in Starkville. You got hundreds right now, just from the video we're showing you, a picture we're showing you live right now, and you've got a temperature that's 32 degrees in Starkville. It's cold, calm winds, and we're going to drop off maybe another few degrees. You've got no precipitation out there. Again, a lot of folks shopping tonight. It's the wee hours of the morning. It's around 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Some stores opening up, and a lot of folks will be camping out in the cold air tonight. It's dry. The clouds you see off to our northwest, no rain producers there or snow producers. They're just way off to our northwest, up ahead of a cold front headed our way. You can see storm tracker showing you overnight. We stay clear. Tomorrow morning again chilly as you're out and about. Tomorrow afternoon it gets pretty warm. We do see a few clouds flowing through. Those clouds will be again lingering in here just a bit, and then we get some more clouds that thicken up on Saturday, and those will give us a good chance for some isolated showers, but I don't think we'll see anything major. 35 right now, Tupelo, clear skies, calm winds, a lot of folks out and about north side of town. 30s out there, cooling off into the upper 20s, lower 30s overnight, and that brings me to your weather forecast for your Black Friday morning. 31 degrees, clear skies, bundle up if you're going outdoors. Tomorrow we bounce back up into the 60s in the afternoon, and after seeing 30s and 20s tonight, quick look at your weather forecast for your Friday Night Fever. 50 for the kickoff, 46 for most of those games toward the end. A quick look at your weather forecast for Alabama and Auburn. 66 kickoff, 52 toward the end, all under mostly clear skies. And a quick look at your extended outlook looks this way: a roller coaster ride next several days, 50s and 60s for highs, 30s and 40s for lows. And if you'd like to stay in touch with your weather forecast 24/7, check us out on Twitter at WTVA. And also on our internet, WTVA.com. And right now, here's Craig.
John, thanks so much. Disappointment among Bulldog fans. MSU comes up short, losing to Ole Miss 31-28. Here's MSU head football coach Dan Mullen.
Obviously, frustrating for us. A big game, you always want to go find a way to win that game. But look how our guys, they battled, continued to battle for 4 quarters. Things didn't go our way through much of the game, but we continued to battle, continued to fight, continued to compete for 4 quarters, and try to make plays for 4 quarters. And, unfortunately, I think, at the end we just ran out of time there at the end. And so that's frustrating, but always proud of our guys. If you watch us play, we're always play with relentless effort, and I thought our guys gave great effort for the entire 60 minutes. We just wish we had 61 or 62 tonight. Questions?
Hey Dan, are you able to provide us with any information about Nick Fitzgerald?
No, he had a dislocated ankle. I haven't gotten anything besides that.
Also on Darrell Williams, do you know anything on him yet?
No.
And the onside kick, the first one,
yeah,
it looked like it might have gone the 10 yards. They didn't review or challenge anything. Did you?
Well, they said they had confirmed it, So I said I was going to challenge. They said they've already confirmed. They didn't want to look at it,
All right, MSU head football coach Dan Mullen. Stay with us. More WTVA 9 News after this.
TVA Sports with Andy Lee.
The Egg Bowl was played on Thanksgiving for the first time since 2013. There was a little pregame brouhaha. Nothing too serious, just a little jawing and shoving. Most would agree that Mississippi State had more to play for, but if history tells us anything, look out for the team with nothing to lose. Rebels get off to a lightning-quick start. Opening possession, Jordan Ta'amu connects with A.J. Brown for a big 58-yard gain all the way down to the Mississippi State 22. Quite a homecoming for Brown. The Starkville native had 6 catches for 167 yards and a score. One play later, Jordan Wilkins scores from 22 yards out. Rebs take a 7-0 lead. Wilkins became the first Rebel to rush for 1,000 yards in a season since Dexter McCluster in 2009. MSU's first possession ends when Nick Fitzgerald is intercepted by Miles Hartsfield. The Bulldogs turned it over 5 times tonight. Absolute disaster for the Bulldogs later in the quarter. Nick Fitzgerald keeps it. He's hit high and low. Fitz suffered a gruesome ankle injury and was carted off the field. Tough break for the Bulldogs. But MSU gets a good break early in the second quarter. Still a 7-0 Ole Miss lead. Jeffrey Simmons blocks Will Gleason's punt. It's recovered by Braxton Hoyett in Ole Miss territory. Just one play later, Keaton Thompson, the true freshman, is intercepted by C.J. Moore. Moore returns it into Mississippi State territory. That leads to a Gary Wunderlich field goal, and the Rebels take a 10-0 lead. As time expires in the first half, MSU's Jace Christman is good from 37 yards out. Rebels led 10-6 at halftime. Ole Miss still on top 10-6 midway through the third quarter. Ta'amu hits A.J. Brown in stride for a 77-yard touchdown. Ole Miss would take a 31-13 fourth quarter lead and holds on for the 31-28 victory. Rebels finish the season 6-6, Bulldogs 8-4. WTVA Sports Director Jim Holder is in Starkville and continues our coverage. Jim.
All right, Andy, thank you so much. Well, I'll tell you what, it was a crazy game, as Egg Bowls always seem to turn out to be. And like you mentioned, usually the team that has more to lose is usually the team that loses. Mississippi State playing for a bigger bowl game. Ole Miss, this was their last game of the season. Of course, the self-imposed bowl ban. Of course, story tonight, Nick Fitzgerald didn't last long, injured on that second drive, dislocated ankle, Dan Mullen said afterwards. Big plays for Ole Miss. A.J. Brown, 6 catches, 167 yards, and 1 touchdown. Of course, that big play to set up the first touchdown as well. Jordan Wilkins goes over 1,000 yards for the season. And 5 turnovers by Mississippi State. That was huge. A lot of those led to either Ole Miss scores or just stopped MSU drives just in general. So those were a lot of the big stories tonight as far as that goes. Afterward, you heard the post-game news conferences. Dan Mullen, his name's been mentioned for Tennessee and Florida. He says he plans on being the coach next year. And as for Matt Luke, well, the Ole Miss players chanting Luke after this ball game. It'll be interesting to see. Ole Miss has a decision to make. Do you make Matt Luke the permanent head coach or not? Of course, they're waiting on the NCAA sanctions as well, so going to be some very interesting few days coming up right here. But again, the final tonight, Ole Miss wins this one 31-28. The Golden Egg headed back to Oxford. There's a story here reporting live from Starkville. Jim Holder, WTVA 9 Sports. Andy, back to you.
All right, thanks, Jim. One quick note, the MSU women defeat Arizona State in Cancun. That's sports. We're back after this.
Thank you so much for joining us for WTVA 9 News. After the Giants and the Redskins, been a very interesting day as far as the 2017 Egg Bowl. Not many folks gave Ole Miss much of a chance going into this ball game, but tonight they came out, and as you've heard as part of our coverage, probably the telling sign was in the first minute of this football game when Ole Miss came out, and I remember reading somebody, it may have been Rick Cleveland, a longtime sports writer with the Clarion Ledger and still writing and over the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame. His description of that first touchdown that Ole Miss did, his description on Twitter is probably appropriate. He said Ole Miss came out and hit Mississippi State in the mouth. And that is what we saw from this Ole Miss football team tonight. And as Jim and Andy mentioned earlier, Nick Fitzgerald's injury, the MSU quarterback, that obviously is devastating for this football team. Yes, they still have another game. They will have a bowl game. They do have a postseason. But still, for State fans, for the State football team, and of course for Nick Fitzgerald, that's got to be a tough blow for him. But still, they will continue to go forward. Obviously, Mississippi State, they're still going to a bowl game. Ole Miss, well, we're waiting to see what happens with the NCAA. That news could very well come next week. But at least for now, they finished the season at 6-6. And Matt Luke, his interim head coach, a lot of folks were thinking he was a dead man walking coming into this game tonight. But his team held it together. They could have folded after Arkansas. Then they came back and won with that dramatic win at Kentucky. They could have folded after losing last week to Texas A&M, especially with that disappointing second half. But yet they came out tonight, they played strong, and they knocked off the number 14 team in the nation, number 14 at least based on the college football playoff rankings. Final score once again here at Davis-Wade Stadium, 31-28. Ole Miss ends its season at 6-6. Mississippi State, again, will go to postseason. It's just a question as to which bowl game they go to. The deck will be shuffled a little bit there. All right, for Simone Woolridge, Shante Sumter, Jim Holder, Alvin Ivey, I'm Craig Ford, wrapping up our coverage of Egg Bowl 2017 on WTVA 9 News.
Thank you, Craig, and everyone out there in Starkville. Before we go, let's get one last look at our temperatures for tonight.
It's chilly in Starkville and chilly all across our area. A lot of folks doing some shopping tonight, and there'll be a lot of stores opening up later on tonight and tomorrow morning. Temperatures in the 30s out there right now, dropping off into the upper 20s, lower to middle 30s for overnight lows. So in other words, we don't drop off too much farther. It's going to be right around 31 degrees with sunny skies tomorrow morning. If you're wondering about the next several days, it stays warm during the afternoon hours. Not warm, but comparatively. I mean, from the morning lows in the 30s and 40s, we get up into the 50s and 60s. Even a few towns could be near 70 on Saturday afternoon and near 70 on Tuesday afternoon, but both of those days will be the warmest. After that, we get a setback because another cold front moves through.
All right, so bundle up if you're going Black Friday shopping in the morning.
Correct.
All right, thank you guys for choosing us on this Thanksgiving evening. We hope you all have a great evening. We'll be back tomorrow at 4:30 in the morning. Have a great night.